Could California actually be looking at mask mandates for COVID-19 this fall, 2023? Coming up, I'll tell you what we're hearing and what you need to get ready for and how we're fighting back. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California. And you would think that by now, Californians would understand that the way in which politicians in this state in particular responded to COVID-19 was a complete and utter disaster, from the mask mandates to the lockdowns that hurt kids and businesses to the vaccine mandates. These liberal politicians governed not based on science, but based on fear. And it was brute force in implementation that divided us rather than united us. Well, COVID-19 ebbed and flowed, and finally we saw a major reduction. People learned that it wasn't the death sentence that the media and the liberal politicians were trying to portray it as, and life moved on. But in the past couple weeks, we have detected a very concerted effort in the media and amongst government officials to try to hype another COVID-19 spike. Some folks that may be thinking about conspiracies, may be thinking about the 2024 election, that, oh, it looks like we have a new variant every time we have an election. And you know what? There may be merit to that. But let's take a look at what actually we're seeing. Here's the top story in the LA Times today. Let me share this. Headline: COVID-19 summer comeback in California gains power as cases and hospitalizations keep rising. Pretty alarmist. The story goes on to talk about a new variant, which, again, we're aware of. They talk about the positivity rate up. The rate at which reported tests are coming back positive is up now at 13.2% across California. At the start of the summer, it was around 4%. This is not a terrible surprise. We know that when weather gets warmer, people stay inside in the air conditioning. COVID-19 tends to be very similar to the flu or a cold season. And that's frankly how I think we should be treating it. So this is not a big surprise. We're going to have an ebb and flow. COVID-19 is not a pandemic anymore. It's in the endemic phase. Let's also recognize that COVID-19 is not a deadly disease. There are folks that are more susceptible to risks associated with COVID-19. They tend to be really old and people with pre-existing conditions. This is just the new reality of us dealing with this among a range of other public health challenges. But there's nothing to be alarmed by. And I think the media knows that. Certainly public health officials know that. Certainly doctors and nurses know that. But for some reason, there's all sorts of articles like this one in the LA Times today. Take a look at a simple search for COVID-19 cases in California. Let me go through that here. The one we just talked about, COVID-19 making a comeback in California. COVID-19 cases on the rise in the Bay Area. Another COVID wave is gripping California. Here's the next booster timing. San Francisco Chronicle, because the liberals up there are hanging on every update in the COVID-19 booster shots. LA Times: the pandemic isn't over. Coronavirus cases in LA County keep rising. New York Times: I love this headline. How to think about rising COVID cases in California. How to think about it. You don't need to tell me how to think about things, New York Times. I can look at data and decide for myself, except obviously people who subscribe to the New York Times need to be told by the New York Times how to think. It goes on and on and on for California. So we decided to look at the data. There's this handy-dandy COVID-19 dashboard that the state of California has. This is the latest update for a week ago, but the numbers kind of look back 65, 75 days. So new hospital admissions, yes, we've seen an uptick since June. There is an average of 336 daily average admissions. Again, this is misleading in terms of its title. these are people who are coming into the hospital for a wide range of reasons. They fell down the stairs. They got in a car accident. They're homeless. And so as they come in, there's the protocol of still we test everyone who goes into the ER for COVID. Anyone who's admitted to the hospital, they're tested for COVID. So this is not people being admitted to the hospital because of COVID. It's people in the hospital who are testing positive for COVID. So we do see an uptick. Take a look at deaths. 103,000 total and 11 daily average. So the deaths, obviously, I would assume is a cumulative since the beginning of time. Because take a look, if we do 65 days and you multiply that by 11, that's 715 deaths. Now, again, these are people who died who had tested positive for COVID. It does not mean that they died because of COVID. Again, that's one of the biggest scams that we've seen in the public health data reporting. Other media outlets do not want to point that out, but it is a acknowledged error or over statement or misrepresentation of the data. Now, I want you to look at that. 0.03 deaths per 100,000. 0.03 deaths per 100,000. No one wants someone to die of COVID. Certainly, we don't even know if these people actually died of COVID. I would argue that they probably didn't. But for all the hemming and hawing about COVID-19 that the liberal media has and the narrative that they're driving, why don't we look at some other public health challenges that the media doesn't seem to really want to hold government officials accountable for? Like this, drug overdose in California. Not just the overdoses, but deaths. It's increasing. Fentanyl has been a big part of the spike in overdoses and deaths. Oh, but here's California's overdose death rate. 26.6 deaths out of 100,000 residents. That's 28% above the average. So 26.6 compared to 0.03 per 100,000. Oh, but do go on and serve up fear porn media in California about COVID-19 while ignoring the drug epidemic in our state and the fact that California, while other states have drug overdoses and deaths from it, California is uniquely bad because it has such a permissive culture on drug use, no enforcement on laws, an open border. The list goes on and on. We don't even consider it to be a problem to be a drug addict. We actually give people needles and other paraphernalia to get their fix. That is a crisis. That's an issue that warrants the attention of government officials as well as scorn in the media if officials aren't leading. COVID-19? No, I'm not in the least worried about COVID-19. Hey, look, if you want to wear a mask, have at it, honey. You can have any freedom you want, wear a mask, put a diaper on your face, put a bag over your head, whatever you want to do, whatever makes you feel okay, that's all well and good. And you may actually be seeing more and more people wearing masks in stores. They may have a pre-existing condition, so let them be them and carry on with your life. But if government officials dare try to impose another meaningless, irrelevant, untethered from science mask mandate in California, then we need to push back harder than ever before because these people were wrong the first time around. They divided our political culture between people who were unvaccinated and unmasked, and somehow they're unclean and evil and killing people. That sort of negligent and divisive leadership should be called out. And I'm looking at you, elected Republicans in California. Don't cower in some closet quietly. You need to come out strongly against any sort of irrational fear and manipulation on the issue of COVID-19. Again, we are heading into an election year. Let's not allow what happened last time, the overreaction, the imposition of policies that were not scientific and not justified and infringed upon our freedoms. Again, I'm a data guy. I go where the data is. And the reality is more people were hurt by government policies on COVID-19 than the actual virus itself. And we need to learn that lesson. And we need to be calling out media outlets for this sort of alarmism. So check out Reform California. Share this video. Like this video, because you know darn well the social media giants do not want us talking about COVID in a truthful and rational and balanced way. Share this video, like and subscribe to the video channel. Check out reformcalifornia.org. Help us spread the word and give people at least balanced news. They're not getting it from traditional media. And join one of our campaigns to flip target seats in the state. We have this election coming up. We've recruited and endorsed a number of good candidates, but they need your help. Chip in a contribution at reformcalifornia.org, reformcalifornia.org. Until next time, this is Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Thanks for watching. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.